What if I told you that a small military strike just triggered a massive shift in global markets? You might think it's just another headline, but the stakes are higher than you realize. Right now, something is unfolding in Venezuela that's not only reshaping oil markets, it's setting the stage for a game-changing deflationary play. Think gold, think silver, and think about how this could change the value of everything around you, from gas prices to the dollars in your bank account. But here's the twist. Nobody's talking about the bigger picture. The real opportunity here isn't just in oil, it's in what's coming next. Stick around, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you view the next 20 years of investing. You might be asking, what exactly happened? Well, last Friday, the United States launched a military strike against Venezuela. It's big, but it's not what you think. The real shocker? The oil infrastructure was untouched. No damage to production facilities, refineries, or export ports. The attack was surgical, precise. And it wasn't just about taking out a leader. The U.S. wants the oil flowing. Why? Because Venezuela holds 303 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, 17% of the world's supply. That's more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia. It's the biggest oil jackpot on the planet. But here's the thing you need to grasp. Venezuela's oil isn't your typical crude. It's heavy, thick, and expensive to extract. So why does that matter? It means the world is about to see a major shift in how oil flows. But the oil is just the beginning. This strike is setting the stage for something far bigger than you've been led to believe. So what's coming next? Let's get to the real story. The U.S. wants this oil, but here's the kicker. Venezuela's oil isn't easy to get. It's heavy crude, like trying to suck peanut butter through a straw. It's not your typical oil. It requires massive infrastructure to extract and refine. Venezuela used to pump 3.5 million barrels per day at its peak. Now, less than 1 million. Why? Years of mismanagement, corruption, and crumbling infrastructure. Experts say it'll take at least $58 billion, maybe up to $100 billion to bring it back online. So why does this matter? Because the U.S. is stepping in to fix it. And here's where it gets interesting. Trump's already pushing for this to happen fast. Industry insiders say it'll take years to get there, but the U.S. has already made its move. American oil giants like Exxon, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips are going to be the ones to rebuild it. But there's something most people are missing. Venezuela's oil could reshape global markets, and it's not just about oil. This is going to affect everything. You see, Venezuela's oil could replace Canada's heavy crude supply, and here's why that changes everything. Now, let's talk about how this situation escalates. Remember, Venezuela's oil isn't just about replacing Canadian supply. It's about a complete shift in global energy dynamics. The U.S. has refineries designed to process heavy crude, and they've been importing it mostly from Canada. But here's the thing. Venezuelan oil is a perfect substitute. So once production ramps up, the U.S. can cut its reliance on Canadian oil. That means cheaper energy costs for America, but it also shifts the balance of power. Why? Because Venezuela's oil is now under U.S. control, and the U.S. is using it to play the long game. It's not just about energy. It's about leveraging this control for geopolitical advantage. The stakes are massive, and most people don't even realize it yet. If this continues, the U.S. could control one of the world's largest oil reserves while reducing its energy costs. But the story doesn't end here. It's about to get much bigger. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. The U.S. government isn't just sitting back and letting this unfold. They're directly investing in it. The plan is to subsidize American oil companies to rebuild Venezuela's energy infrastructure. That means companies like Exxon, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips are set to profit big time. But here's the twist. This isn't just about rebuilding oil infrastructure. This is about what happens next. The U.S. is going to start getting massive amounts of oil from Venezuela. And when that happens, the global oil market will feel the impact. Venezuelan heavy crude can be processed in U.S. refineries, which means cheaper oil for America, and that's a direct threat to Canadian oil. U.S. energy independence? It's not a dream. It's becoming a reality. But here's the key question. What happens to the rest of the world when the U.S. controls this much oil? This isn't just about energy. This changes the game for gold, silver, and commodities. Stay with me, because we're just getting started. We're now entering the danger zone. As the U.S. moves in on Venezuela's oil, there's a cascade of events unfolding. First, we have oil companies like Chevron already on the ground, with tankers scheduled to pick up Venezuelan oil within the next few weeks. But that's just the beginning. The U.S. is not only going to control oil, but also the country's natural gas supply. Venezuela is burning off enough natural gas to power its entire country, and the U.S. is stepping in to capture that gas too. That means cheaper energy, not just for Venezuela, but for the U.S. This is a double-edged sword. On one hand, we're talking about a major drop in global energy prices. On the other hand, this move is starting to upset the balance in the entire global energy sector. And here's the real kicker. If this continues, we'll see deflation on a scale nobody's prepared for. Imagine lower energy costs, cheaper manufacturing, cheaper transportation. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. What happens to all the other sectors when the price of everything drops? If this keeps going, it's going to change everything, and fast. Now let's take a step back and look at how this is going to affect everyday people, people like you. Sure, we're talking big oil deals and international power plays, but what does it mean for the average person? Well, lower energy costs might sound like a win at first. Gasoline, heating, transportation, all of it could get cheaper. But here's where things get complicated. As energy prices drop, so does the cost of manufacturing, and that's going to have a ripple effect. Goods and services may get cheaper, but that's not the whole picture. Here's the twist. Deflation can actually hurt people who are relying on wages, savings, or fixed incomes. If your salary stays the same, but the value of your money drops, you're effectively getting poorer. If you're holding cash, the game is over. And yet most people won't even realize it until it's too late. If this feels familiar to you, or you're starting to see the writing on the wall, let me know in the comments below. But here's the thing. It's not just about cheaper energy or deflation. This whole scenario is a reflection of a much deeper system at work. What's happening in Venezuela isn't just a one-off event. It's part of a much larger play in global power dynamics. The U.S. is controlling oil, and that gives them leverage not just over Venezuela, but over the entire global energy market. And here's where it gets unsettling. This is all happening because of the power of leverage, spectacle, and fear. The U.S. government, with its $38 trillion in debt, needs to keep inflation in check. How? By controlling energy prices. Flood the market with cheap Venezuelan oil, and the U.S. can maintain the illusion of manageable inflation while actually inflating its way out of debt. The real kicker? The people who will suffer the most are those who hold cash, who live paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, those who own assets, real estate, stocks, commodities, will keep getting richer. This system doesn't care about fairness. It's a game of leverage, and the winners are already in position. But here's the catch. Now that you understand how this works, you can position yourself on the right side of it. The question is, are you ready to act? Now let's talk about the future. The next few years are going to be crucial, and the stakes couldn't be higher. There are two potential paths that could unfold from this Venezuela situation. On one side, the U.S. government is going to push hard to rebuild Venezuela's oil infrastructure. If they succeed, we're looking at a massive increase in oil production, which could flood the market and significantly lower energy prices. This could trigger deflation, affecting everything from goods and services to wages. But here's the other side. If the rebuilding efforts stall, or if Venezuela's political instability continues, then we could see a drawn-out period of uncertainty with oil markets still in turmoil. The question is, which path will we follow? And here's the kicker. No one knows for sure, but the U.S. has already made its move, and they're positioning themselves to win no matter what. The real question is, will you be ready when the next major shift happens? Because trust me, it's coming, and it's coming fast. And now, here's the real takeaway. The story of Venezuela isn't just about oil. It's about how global power plays are shifting and how the wealthy are positioning themselves to win. The U.S. is moving to control one of the largest oil reserves on the planet. And with that power comes the ability to reshape the entire global economic system. But here's the big question. What will you do with this information? The next few years will be defining gold, silver, oil. These are the assets that will not just survive, but thrive. But if you're not careful, you'll get left behind watching as the rich get richer. So if you want to thrive, not just survive, you need to act now. Subscribe, follow, and stay tuned because we're just getting started. There's much more to uncover. Don't miss out.